What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. As you know, I have a lot of Thrashin parts on my various bikes. I love it, great quality, and I upgraded my Lowrider ST to full forward controls and boards, and left me a leftover of the Thrashin mini boards that I had on the front initially. So I've wanted mini boards on the Rocket and I haven't seen it anywhere. So I'm going to try to see if I can fit these on here. Just to give you an idea, these are the Thrashin mini boards here. They've got their inset. You've got a little thumb screw or a little Allen screw right here that sets it in. You've got a screw that bolts it in there to hold it tight, mounts on there in the bottom like that, and gives you that nice gripped feeling right there that goes in. It would sit right about here, of course lower, and look like it's on there. But the difference is, you spin this around, the width of the Triumph, I don't know, peg mount I guess, is right about this beveled point right here. So it's about 1/8 of an inch on each side, or 1/16 of an inch on each side, 1/8 of an inch total about, where we'd have to grind this down to this bevel point right here, and then use the original spring as well to go in there and see if it's strong enough to do it. Now this is pretty high grade aluminum, made in the USA, aircraft grade that Thrashin promotes, and curious to see if it'll fit. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take off the current pegs on one side, and then we'll grind that side down and see if it fits in there and how those fit. So it should be interesting. Again, these are not designed for this bike. So what I'm doing is not an approved action. This is something that I just want to see if it'll work, because I have them. In a worst case scenario, if I botch it up, I just replace these and I can put them back on another bike if I want them or something like that. Should be cool. So what we're going to do is switch the camera around, get a close-up shot here as we pull off this peg, and then we'll start to work it and see what happens. Okay, back in a minute. All right, so hopefully this shot works for you. Try to get as close as possible, still trying to make sure we keep everything in focus as we look at it. But as you can see, you got your shift peg here, and then you've got the attachment for it there, which is part of a linkage on the bottom, and then your boot guard against the case right there, and then your standard pin with an E-clip on the back. And I've got this cool little tool that I really love, and it's linked in my description. And the neat thing about it is it's got a flat side right here, and then you flip it around and it's got this little groove side right here that your E-clip goes in when you're putting them back on, right? So that's on, flip it around, pop it in there, and then that takes it off because it's kind of flush right there on the end, which is kind of cool, right? All you do, put it on there, and then pop that thing down, and pulls out your E-clip without destroying it, which is cool. So I've already done that part. And then, as you can see, I got my stuff laid out here down the bottom. We've got, you know, the ratchet that with a 1/8 bit that is to take out this pin here when we're ready to take that part out. And then we've got the 12.3/8, which is this guy here, and that one is used to take the bolt out of this right here when you're ready to work on it. I've already taken that out in preparation. This is what it looks like, similar to the same install I did when I put them on. And then here's the original Thrashin spring, which I will not be using because the way this is set up. But what you do is once you get that pin out, or that E-clip out, you kind of rock this guy and pull your pin out, set that aside, and then pull out the peg. And you can see this is a little different. Instead of the other hole, it's got this little flat spot right there, and that goes in and pushes like that to give it the spring. So we're going to use the same thing on that when we put in. And then, like I mentioned, we're going to try to grind this guy down to this spot here. Again, not an approved use of this device or this accessory. I'm just doing it to see if it'll work and kind of prove my point that it would be cool to have Thrashin do rocket stuff, right? So that's what we're gonna do. So that's how you get that off. And then we just loosen this guy up, pull out this piece right here, and I've got some channel locks that I put some electrical tape around to help me hold it when I'm doing my grinding. So I'm gonna put that like this, and then I will take this bolt and put that in a little bit and tighten it up just a smidge to give me something to hold on to. So that way it's on there, and of course I'll have gloves on. So that's what it's gonna look like when I get over to the grinder and try to grind it down. And I just kind of wanted to show you that. So let's move the camera around and we'll get started on that. All right, so again, this is not an approved function of this accessory. And you know, make sure you have all your safety stuff in place. I'm gonna be wearing gloves so that I try to minimize any spark on my hands, but you can see I've got this all lined up and ready to go. Here's a grinding wheel, got my little insert in there, and we'll see what happens. So let's get started. Okay, so we got it all ground down, and I re-drilled out that hole a little bit bigger so that the pin goes in there like it's supposed to, and goes in there like that. So now we're going to see how it fits. So pop that guy on there, and just for test sake, we're going to put this guy on, slide this over. No spring, and that's what it'll look like on there. Now, one thing I did notice is that on the end of this piece here, there's a little bit of a rise, and I took that down a little bit too far, so it kind of goes in a little bit, but we'll fix it on the other side if we decide to do it. I just want to see if this sits, and then we'll drop it down and see how it feels on your foot, if it works or not. May need a different design a little further back or something, but we'll see how it goes. But so that's it. So we'll take this off, and now we'll put the spring in. So this is the Triumph spring that goes in there. The Thrashin one has two holes, one in here and one in the other one. This has a little spring stop. That this one has a little spring stop right there that fits it in. So what you want to do is turn that in that orientation and get that guy in there so it'll sit like that. This takes a little finagling because you have to maneuver it once you get it in, but let's pop this guy in. So that's how that goes. And then this guy slides on, and then you can see this is how it springs up. Now we'll put our bolt in. And we won't tighten that down all the way until we see where our foot lies, and that gives us some maneuverability. Then once you get it, you'll tighten it all the way, and then hit that set screw in the bottom. But you can see right here, It's a little pitched in. I'd like it about right there. So if this works, we'll take it on the other side and just pop it back a little bit more. Curious is gonna see how it works with our boot here on this. So, all right, let's drop the bike down, take a look and see how it fits on our shoe. All right, back in a minute. Okay, so we got the bike down and I've played with the adjustments a little bit. As you can see, it fits there and it could work. The only problem is the shift lever on the Rocket is so short that enough to have my toe underneath the shifter, I'd have to pull back and up to hit the top of the gear, and I can't really go down any lower. So unfortunately it's not going to work in the current design feature, but I think that if they extended this a little bit back further and, you know, pitched it a little bit so it allowed room for that, maybe brought it down a little bit, I think it could work, but kind of a drag. I thought it would be cool to have them. I think they look good on there, and I don't know, maybe that's something that Thrashin will take a look at, but for the most part, I can make them work, but it's just not fully designed well enough for this bike. So again, as you look at the shift linkage here, there's not enough space. You'd have to be at a downward angle to get it to where it's forward enough to pull those gears up properly. And I think this needs to be down a little bit and maybe back a touch. So if they change the way that they did the mount or something like that, should they decide to do it on them, I think it could be something. But anyone who's looking to do mini floorboards on Triumph bikes, on Rockets, I think they would be awesome. I love the way this looks, and it definitely feels good with your foot sitting on there. But yeah, it's just not going to work in this application because of the length of the shift arm and the travel. So kind of a drag, but we'll spin the camera back around and get some closing thoughts. All right, back in a minute. All right, well, there you have it. We tried. I'm going to put it back to stock, put the original peg back on there. That's a nice part about it, is that I can just put it back because I didn't modify anything from the original. But man, what a great thing that would be to be able to have mini boards on a Rocket 3. So Thrashin, if you choose to do so, or any of these other third-party vendors that could be able to figure out a good way to where it hits that full shift pattern travel for the shift lever, being it's a shorter shift lever, I think that would be awesome. Definitely would have my sale on it. But hey, had to give it a shot, right? You don't ever try, you don't ever know until you give it a shot to see what happens. But so close. Anyway, throw it back to stock. Appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe, get any feedback or comments. Again, not an approved attempt. I just was playing around with something because I had some extra parts to see if I could make it work. Almost did, but anyway, take care, be good humans. See you on the next one.